We are living in a volatile political environment. You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorable.
Come on, man.
If the Trump administration approves a vaccine before or after the election, should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If the public health professionals, if Dr. Fauci, if the doctors tell us that we should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it. Absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
Come on, man. And if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It was a debate.
2023 is the year woke corporatism dies. And it only took the infiltration of millennial cultists into the beer companies for half of America to realize they have a voice and can protest with their dollar. And I'll be expanding more on that here soon because Miller Lite will be the first topic of the day. Elon Musk hired a new CEO to run Twitter. And that person has a lot of people concerned. And the reason being is because of her affiliation with the World Economic Forum. Also, we just learned that the media, FBI, CIA, the Obama administration colluded with each other to spread lies about Trump and his relations with Russia. What a surprise! All that and more coming up. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Deplorable Talk Show. You are here with Mr. Deplorable himself, Israel Perez. So, this is a show where I give you my unfiltered opinion on politics and culture. I know nothing about the things I choose to talk about, but this is America, where opinions are just like assholes. Everyone has one. I just choose to record mine and spread it on the internet. So, let's talk about Miller Lite, huh? They learned the hard way that the internet is forever. In March, during Women's History Month, they released an ad with comedian Ilian Glazer, I believe that's how you say her name, basically apologizing for past transgressions of sexualizing women to sell beer. Now look, call me sexist if you want, but men drink beer. And there's only 3 things in life men care about, and that's women, beer, and sports. And when you mix all those together, that's called a fun time. That's why sports bars, dive bars still exist, because they understand that trifecta. They sell you beer, they provide you with sports, and they employ women. And I wouldn't call those bars sexist for capitalizing on what is going to attract their main consumer. Wokeism has no place in commerce. It's bad for business. That's why Bud Light sales are tanking. So, according to Fox Business, Bud Light sales down 23.6% in first week of May as backlash continues into 5th week amid Mulvaney fallout. Bud Light continued to see decline in sales during the month of May as consumers nationwide revolted against the nation's top-selling beer brand over its controversial partnership with transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney. The Bud Light's 5th straight week of plunging sales since Mulvaney's first announced a collaboration with the brand, reigniting concerns among distributors over whether the beer maker can successfully heal from the branding nightmare. Compared to a year ago, retail sales of Bud Light in the U.S. were down by 23.6% in the week ending on May, surpassing the 23.3% decline the brand saw in last week of April, according to the data from Bump Williams Consulting and Nelson IQ. Well, huh? Well. Miller Lite is going to face the same consequences as Bud Light if they do not correct this move to weigh in on identity politics. And for those who haven't seen the ad and don't know what the hell I'm talking about, here's the ad in question.
Here's a little known fact. Women were among the very first to brew beer ever. From Mesopotamia to the Middle Ages to colonial America, women were the ones doing the brewing. Centuries later, how did the industry pay homage to the founding mothers of beer? They put us in bikinis.
Quit it.
Look at this wild. It's time beer made it up to women. So today, Miller Lite is on a mission to clean up
She would
not
look
just
a
their
lot
shit,
better
but
in
the
the
whole
bikini.
beer industry.
Just saying.
Miller Lite has been scouring the internet for all this shit and buying it back so that he can turn it into good shit for women brewers. Literally, good shit. How, you ask? Ladies, take it away.
First, we turn the bad shit into compost. Then we feed compost to worms. Push out beautiful fertilizer.
That good shit helps farmers grow quality hops,
which is then donated to women brewers to make their own really good shit.
But there's definitely more shit out there. In your attic, in the garage, in your parents' basement. Send any shit you got into Miller Lite, and they'll turn that into good shit too. Oh. So here's to women, because without us, there would be no beer.
There's so much wrong with that ad. So I want to roll through this really quick because I don't want to take too long on it. In Mesopotamia, the ancient Sumerians believed in a goddess called Nikasi. She was born of fresh water and is also known as the lady who fills the mouth. She was the goddess of fertility and was in charge of brewing, drunkenness, and seduction. It was her responsibility to make sure priestesses provided fermented beverages in all temples of Sumeria. So yes, women did brew beer, but it was because it was their womanly duty within the patriarchy of the ancient Sumerians to do so. And beyond the ancient Sumerians, women brewed beer because of gender roles. So you can get your feminist bullshit out of here, execs at Miller Lite. Go woke, go broke. Well, that's at least what the phrase is, huh? We will see how this ad and Miller's choice to defend the marketing exec who chose to greenlight this ad plays out. And speaking of executives, Twitter has a new CEO, but her background has people concerned for the future of Twitter. So on May 11th, Elon announced on Twitter that he would be announcing his new hire for CEO. A day after that tweet, he told us the new CEO would be a woman named Linda Yaccarino. Now, this news set Twitter ablaze because of this woman's connections and past employers. It has me concerned as well because Twitter under Musk's rule has, it's been a chaotic place, but it's been a little bit more reasonable. At least for me, And this lady's track record suggests that the new Twitter would be something that she would like to change. So let's look at Miss Yaccarino's history published on her LinkedIn. All right, so as we can see here, this is Linda Yaccarino's LinkedIn. And so let's scroll down to her experience here. So she, from 1992 to 2011, worked for Turner Broadcasting. And from 2011 till this year, May 2023, worked for NBC Universal Media. Now, that's a little concerning, but that's not the most concerning thing here. So let's scroll down to organizations here. So, Linda Yaccarino is the executive chair for the World Economic Forum from January 2019 to present. So, that right there should raise red flags to anyone who is concerned about Twitter keeping its free speech policy. And for those who don't know, the WEF is a global forum of elite billionaires who want to shape the world in their image by infiltrating politics, business, culture, and leaders that help shape industry. And here's Klaus Schwab, the leader and creator of the WEF, to explain the mission of the WEF.
Dear friends, let me share with you why the World Economic Forum can be of great service in our complex and fast-changing global system. Let's go back to the origin. In 1970, as a young professor at the University of Geneva, I wrote a book on modern management. I started writing this book asking myself the crucial question, what is the purpose of a corporation? In the book, I pioneered the stakeholder concept, which was avant-garde at the time, arguing that business should not serve only its shareholders, but all those who have a stake in the destiny of the company, such as employees, society, and the planet. As a consequence, I created the forum as a not-for-profit foundation with the idea in mind of a global village where all stakeholders could interact on the most important issues of our time. Over the last 50 years, I have further developed the stakeholder concept into a global business citizenship approach, stating that business, together with governments and civil society, must be an active and responsible stakeholder in addressing global problems. Today, the concept of stakeholder capitalism, as well as the idea that the complex issues in our world can only be solved through public-private cooperation, is finally becoming mainstream. Stakeholder responsibility on a corporate but also on a global level remains the fundamental underlying principle behind everything we are doing.
Looks like a Bond villain, huh? So the key word we have to focus on here is stakeholder. He said it several times within that speech, and it's what he built his ideology on. So the stakeholder theory is that governments do not make policy. It is a global coalition of corporations that make policy. And that right there should scare everyone. There's a group of billionaire elites that want to govern the world and shape it into their image. You know what that is? That's fascism in its purest form. The WEF wants to implement a global fascist society. They're just not calling it that. They're hiding it behind words like stakeholder capitalism, global constituents, inclusivity, sustainability, and generational growth. And here's a clip from the WEF that predicts what the world will be like in 2023 under their rule. And mind you, I don't think these are predictions, but more of a guarantee of what is to come. 8 predictions for the world in 2023. You will own nothing and be happy. Whatever you want, you'll rent, and it'll be delivered by drone. The US won't be the world's leading superpower. Oh, really? A handful of countries will dominate. You won't die waiting for an organ donor. We won't transplant organs, we'll print new ones instead. You'll eat much less meat. I like meat. An occasional treat, not a staple, for the good of the environment and our health. 1 billion people will be displaced by climate change, We'll have to do a better job at welcoming and integrating refugees. Polluters will have to pay carbon dioxide taxes. There will be a global price on carbon. This will help make fossil fuels history. You could be preparing to go to Mars. Scientists will have worked out how to keep you healthy in space, the start of the journey to find alien life. Western values will have been tested to the breaking point. Checks and balances that underpin our democracies must not be forgotten. Democracy, huh? Democracy means that people have the right to choose what happens in their governance. Their vision does not fit within a democracy because people don't like being told what to do. Just like people don't like being told what they can and can't say. Under that rule, there would be no such thing as free speech, something that we as Americans hold near and dear to our heart. The fact that a current World Economic Forum chairman is now the CEO of Twitter, the global town square, should worry everyone because she has a fiduciary responsibility to members of the WEF. And just in case you were wondering what her priorities as Twitter CEO would be, she basically spells them out in an interview with Elon Musk.
For example, you've said you probably shouldn't tweet after 3 a.m.
Well, I've got my
Probably good advice for all of us.
I've gotten myself into trouble a few times.
I'm very aware of those. So after 3 a.m., you travel all over the world. Lord knows how you handle time zones in space. Will you commit to be a little more specific and not tweet after 3 a.m.? People in this room would like to see that. We'll make them feel more confident.
I will aspire to tweet less after 3 a.m. But I mean, it is important that, I mean, if I were to say, yes, you can influence me, that would be wrong. That would be very wrong. Because that would be a diminishment of freedom of speech.
But I want to be specific about influencing. It's more of an open feedback loop for the advertising experts in this room to help develop Twitter into a place where they will be excited about investing.
It's about the advertisers.
Product development, ad safety, content moderation. That's what the influence is.
Yeah, I think it's totally cool to say that you want to have your advertising appear in certain places in Twitter and not in other places. But it is not cool to try to say what Twitter will do. And if that means losing advertising dollars, we lose it. But freedom of speech is paramount.
Well, I hope that statement holds true under her reign, Elon, because that's not her agenda, as we obviously heard. Her agenda is not free speech. Her agenda is what's best for corporations and advertisers. That's what she cares about because that is her job. She wants corporations to control speech via their pocketbook. That means if advertisers do not like or believe a politician's beliefs are controversial or hateful, they can say, we don't like what that person is saying, so we would like you to throttle that person's reach, or we will pull our advertising. That's what's coming under her reign. That's what's coming, man. She's not going to give a fuck. She's going to be like, you know what, but it's really hurting our pocketbook letting these people over here say what they want to say. So let's ban them. We're going to go back to the old days of Twitter. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully Elon Musk holds true to his word that he would rather have free speech and lose advertisers than it be vice versa. But we'll see. Let's get into the big lead.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media simply aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use those platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
So, does anybody remember this?
After months of speculation, FBI Director Comey testifying under oath today, unloading powerful public declarations, given the agency's policy not to comment on ongoing investigations, except under extraordinary circumstances, confirming today the federal investigation into the Trump campaign's alleged ties to Russia. So what makes this situation so unique? Here's ABC's David Wright.
Tonight in Kentucky, a defiant President Trump.
We are Americans and the future belongs to us.
Already running for re-election in 2020.
We will make America great again.
But on Capitol Hill today, lawmakers were busy poring over the election we just had.
I'm honored to be here representing the people of the FBI.
Members of the House Intelligence Committee convening a blockbuster hearing.
I would like to welcome our witnesses, Director of the FBI, Jim Comey, and Director of the National Security Agency, Admiral Rogers.
The nation's top cop and one of the nation's most senior spy masters there to testify about allegations that Russia tried to influence the outcome.
I have been authorized by the Department of Justice to confirm that the FBI, as part of our counterintelligence mission, is investigating the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election.
Listen closely now.
And that includes investigating the nature of any links between individuals associated with the Trump campaign and the Russian government, and whether there was any coordination between the campaign and Russia's efforts. As with any counterintelligence investigation, This will also include an assessment of whether any crimes were committed.
That's huge. The FBI director disclosed an ongoing criminal investigation into whether associates of the Trump campaign worked with the Russian government. Comey acknowledged that admission in itself is highly unusual.
It was all lies. It was cooked up to smear Trump's 2020 re-election campaign. That sure sounds like election meddling to me. And the reason I can say that with confidence is because Durham finally released his report saying so. As set forth in greater detail in section blah, 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 before the initial receipt by FBI headquarters of information from Australia on July 28, 2016, concerning comments reportedly made in a tavern on May 6, 2016 by George, however you say his last name, an unpaid foreign policy advisor to the Trump campaign, the government possessed no verified intelligence reflecting that Trump or the Trump campaign was involved in a conspiracy or a collaborative relationship with officials of the Russian government. Indeed, based on the evidence gathered in the multiple, exhaustive, and costly federal investigation of these matters, including the instant investigation, neither U.S. law enforcement nor the Intelligence Committee appears to have possessed any actual evidence of collusion in their holdings at the commencement of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Close that down. So, to the people who are saying this doesn't mean anything because John Durham is a Republican and he's covering for Trump, this is a biased report. Get the fuck out of here, all right? Durham didn't have to do legal gymnastics in order to prove that the Steele dossier and Operation Crossfire Hurricane was a sham. All he had to do is quote straight from the FBI reports that was provided by the FBI. In the context of these efforts and discussed in section blah, 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 the FBI learned that Steele relied primarily on a U.S.-based Russian national, Igor Danchenko, to collect information that ultimately formed the core allegations found in the reports. Specifically, our investigation discovered that Danchenko himself had told another person that he was responsible for 80% of the intel and 50% of the analysis contained in the Steele dossier. You want to know how Igor Danchenko got his information? He got it through rumor. This company report contained information that Danchenko had gathered directly from PR Executive One in response to a specific request. In particular, on about August 19, 2016, Danchenko emailed PR Executive One to solicit any thoughts, rumor, or allegation about Campaign Manager One. In the email, Danchenko also informed PR Executive One that he, Danchenko, was working on a project against Trump. And here's the email. Could you please ask someone to comment on Campaign Manager One's resignation and anything on Trump campaign? Off the record, of course. Any thoughts, rumor, allegation. I'm working on a related project against Trump. I asked PR Executive One's acquaintances 3 months ago, but he didn't say much, although shared a couple of valuable insights. Thanks a lot. Best, Igor. That was their main source. The Steele dossier and the FBI's investigation was based on rumor. Jesus, man. And here's the icing on the cake. They all knew these allegations that Russia helped Trump win the election were lies because it was part of Hillary Clinton's campaign strategy and Obama let it happen. In response to your request for Intelligence Committee information related to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Crossfire Hurricane investigation, I have declassified the following. In late July 2016, U.S. intelligence agencies obtained insight into Russian intelligence analysis alleging that U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton had approved a campaign plan to stir up a scandal against U.S. president candidate Donald Trump by tying him to Putin and the Russian hacking of the Democratic National Committee. The IC does not know the accuracy of the allegation or the extent to which the Russian intelligence analysis may reflect excregation or fabrication. According to his handwritten notes, former Central Intelligence Agency Director Brennan subsequently briefed President Obama and other senior national security officials on the intelligence, including the alleged approval by Hillary Clinton on July 26, 2016, of a proposal from one of her foreign policy advisors to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by Russian security services. On September 7, 2016, U.S. intelligence officials forwarded an investigative referral to FBI Director James Comey and Deputy Assistant Director of Counterintelligence Peter Strzok regarding U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton's approval of a plan concerning U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections as a means of distracting the public from her use of a private email server. That's fucking dirty, dude. They knew about it. All of them. Obama knew about it. Hillary Clinton was the one who planned it. They fed it to the media. All so that way they can smear the presidency of Donald Trump and hamper him down from getting shit done. And they continued it all the way to his re-election campaign of 2020, and they used it to run an election interference so he would not win. That's fucking dirty. And that ends the big lead.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
That ends the show, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like the show and are watching on Rumble or YouTube, please give a like and subscribe. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple, please hit the subscribe button. I upload weekly. Take care, guys. See you next episode.